focus. Ideate, innovate, enable.
Hello and welcome to Backbase Presents Engagement Banking in the Digital Era, powered by Money Control and CNBC TV 18. And I'm your host, Ruchira Sharma. The financial industry, as we all have witnessed, has been going through unprecedented developments. Fintech has brought a paradigm shift to how people bank. Such developments in the financial sector mark the dawn of a new era, an era which is spearheaded by technology. In fact, customer engagement continues to play a crucial role in the success of financial institutions in the near future. There is a pressing need to build new and better digital experiences for retail and business customers. And that is the topic for today's discussion. To understand the age of engagement banking, the methodology, the challenges, and the solutions. And for that, we are joined by an esteemed panel of experts. I'd like to begin by introducing them. We have with us Mr. Ankur Tripathi, Chief Information Officer, AU Small Finance Bank. We also have Mr. Ashwin Khorana, Chief Information Officer, Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, and Mr. Riddhi Datta, Regional Head for ASEAN South Asia, Backbase. So thank you, Mr. Ankur, Mr. Ashwin, and Mr. Riddhi. Thank you so much for joining in. I'd like to begin by asking you, Mr. Ankur, technology has numerous definitions, and 3 out of 4 of the 50 largest global banks now pledge themselves to some form of customer experience transformation. So how has delivering customer satisfaction really changed in today's extremely digital environment?
As you rightly mentioned, technology is changing the banking forever, and we are seeing a significant user behavior changes from traditional branch banking to offline, then to the entire digital ecosystem now over a video platform and whatnot. So it has become more real time, more instantaneous. So starting from the funnel conversions for any of the onboarding journeys, or probably cross sell to engagement, or to the way customers are engaging in the bank, everything has become digital, and it is very real time. So you need to have real time tracking of how customers are engaging with your digital channel, what is working, what is not working, what are the drop off rates. Then in case there are any negative or even near neutral sentiments out in any of the digital platforms or the social media platform, it can uh, fairly impact your larger ecosystem and customer engagement processes.
Sure.
It has changed significantly, and we are working on all those levers to keep it intact.
All right. Mr. Ashwin, what's your take on this? How do you think technologies or new age disruptive technologies are changing and increasing engagement for customers?
What happens in today's era is instant gratification for the customer. I should be able to transfer my money immediately. I should be able to get money immediately. I Whatever service I choose to operate on my mobile phone in my hand should work. And that's the demand the customer is having, and that's the demand we are all working towards, to ensure that we are able to meet the customer expectations. Previously, when I started internet banking in late 90s, early 2000, the hits were far and few between. But if you look at it now, I think nobody comes to the bank. 80 to 85% of our interactions are happening online with our customers, and there's only 15% which still walk into the bank to do something in their journey. And that journey is also not non-digital. That journey is also digital, and
All right.
it's just that you're doing it face to face, because very less paper actually changes hand today's journey of the banking transaction that we carry out. So I would say that last 2 years have actually increased that interaction to an extent that if I as a customer was doing 4 or 5 transactions with the bank, today I do around 70 transactions a month with the bank, and that's the extent of digitization that we see. People have stopped going to the ATMs to withdraw cash. They now use UPI to pay cash wherever they go. So all those things have made life simple for the customers. But as a bank, yes, we need to be on our toes to ensure that they get the service when they want.
So, coming to you, Mr. Riddhi, what is your insight here? How do you think new age technologies are actually solving problems, when it comes to banking or the traditional ways that we work?
I think the point that Mr. Khurana said about instant gratification, right? That is absolutely what has happened, because of which banking customers are looking for experiences or engagement which are best in class. And if you go a little bit back and try to figure out why is this instant gratification so important, because today's customers, and it's not just the Gen Zs or the millennials, even people who are in their later part of their life, they're all using apps and solutions like an Amazon, like a Netflix, like a Spotify, and that has changed the entire perception of what experience should be, whether it's banking or whether it's something plain vanilla like shopping. So that is where the extension of the customer's mindset has come, that even when I'm banking with my bank, when I'm doing some transactions, financial and non-financial, I should have that same level of instant gratification. Now, coming to your point that where has technology played a role, and coming and representing a platform organization like Backbase, we do believe that the main role that technology has played here has been introducing the concept of platforms. Now, today, if you look at some of these instances that I mentioned earlier, an Amazon or a Netflix or a Spotify, more than being a shopping organization or a media organization, they are platform organizations. And that is what technology has brought to the game here, which banking is also making a shift towards. It's no longer a matter of which channel a customer is talking to the bank. It's no longer a matter about which product or which service a customer is talking to the bank about. It's more about can I orchestrate the entire customer life cycle. And it doesn't matter what type of a customer. It could be a rural customer, could be a personal customer, could be a corporate customer. But can I orchestrate the entire customer life cycle, irrespective of the type of customer, irrespective of the type of product and service, and irrespective of the channel, on one single platform? That is what Netflix is doing. That is what Amazon is doing. That is what Uber is doing. And that is where banking is also moving to. And going back to your question, that is where technology is coming in very important to move this needle from products, channels, and services to more about horizontal, omni-channel platform or engagement orchestration.
Coming to you, Mr. Ashwin, let's talk about delivering superior experiences. When we talk about delivering superior customer experiences, what are some of the core beliefs that your organization has? And have you developed a measure or a metric to actually gauge customer satisfaction? If you could take us through that.
Yeah, delivering superior experiences. I think for any journey that gets started, you now start to see, you gamify that as a process to see how quickly the journey ends, how many clicks the customer is going to use to reach the goal that he has set out for while accessing, he or she has set out for while accessing the application, right? So that becomes a very critical input into whatever we define or design and give it in the hands of the customer. That is, I mean, if you're not doing that and you're just trying to transfer, like when Ankur was talking about omni-channel, right? It needs to have the same experience whether you're using it on a mobile phone or whether you're using it on your laptop or desktop. More and more organizations are now trying to ensure that the right experiences are given on the right devices that get used to make the journey smoother. The other thing is about speed. If I have to keep on waiting for things to come my way, then I lose interest because the attention span has got so reduced for the customers at every level, whether it's a young kid on the block or whether it's a retired senior citizen. Everybody need things at a speed which doesn't make them wait. So that becomes another critical area in defining the digital journey that we define for everything that we do.
For sharing that very important points over there, that the right technology on the right devices are critical for delivering superior customer experiences. Coming to you, Mr. Ankur, do you have anything to add here? Have you devised a metric or is there a way that you're mapping customer satisfaction, and what is your learning over there?
Yeah, Ruchira. So I'll start with probably the last point that Mr. Khurana addressed. So just to add on to that, one specific aspect with respect to the privacy and security, that is also a significant factor in addition to the speed, the availability, and experience, and that cumulatively we believe is defining the trust in a digital era and digital ecosystem, the way the users and consumers are engaging with various digital platform. Now extending that to how you are measuring it, all those matrices, right? While you have that entire ecosystem in place, there are two three different kind of journeys that various banking platform or fintech platforms have mapped, one on the origination side, then transacting on the servicing side, and each of these factors have their respective matrices, KPIs to track, be it conversion rate, drop off, if users are dropping off at a specific pattern, you tend to analyze whether there is a slowness issue on that particular step, or there is communication not being done for navigation and whatnot. And correspondingly on the app side, we measure the kind of returning users, active users, returning users, in the time that they are spending on our digital platform for their ecosystem. So these are some of the softer matrices that we track. And then on the execution side, we track their response time, resolution time, and whatnot, in terms of both functional as well as technical aspect, in terms of our various API responses, their uptime, their error rate, in case there are any functional issues with the response or the technical issues, corresponding resolutions are being done.
Mr. Riddhi, would you like to share some insight here before we move on to our
I,
next question?
yeah, very good thoughts from both Mr. Khurana and Ankur here. I would like to take a little bit of a detour from when we are talking about customer satisfaction and what banks are doing, and I'd like to sort of take attention to a report that Backbase and Forrester came out with last year in 2021, which was around digital money management and personal finance management. And we had done back then was with Forrester, we had surveyed banks as well as bank customers across all of Asia Pacific, starting from India and going all the way down to Australia and New Zealand. And there were some very interesting insights which I'd like to quote here. When it comes to budgeting tools, Indian customers had the minimum satisfaction across the entire region. So that was a very important insight that we got. When it comes to savings tools, again, India was somewhere in the mix, in the middle, with customers in Japan being very happy with their banking saving tools, and customers in Thailand not being happy at all. But India was somewhere in the middle. In terms of personalized recommendation tools, and I think Ankur spoke about hyper personalization, contextual nudges a little bit earlier. Even there, in terms of personalized recommendation, India was the lowest in terms of what customers felt that they were getting from the bank. So customers felt that they were not getting enough personalized recommendations. Customers felt that they were not getting enough in terms of how should they save better and how should they budget better. And again, when again based on the study, when Forrester went back to the banks now and tried to figure out what were the challenges, the top challenges that banks had, because of which customers had this perception, there were three challenges that came out. One was banks were not doing, and this is with all due respect to the bankers we have in the panel today and all the bankers out there, but Forrester and Backbase believe that banks were not understanding the customer needs and outcomes as well as they understood their own products and offerings. That was point number one. Second was, I think we have all spoken about it, technology. A lot of banks are still and continue to be on technology which is somewhat legacy. That was the second biggest challenge. And third was more intrinsic in terms of how banks are organized. Even today, with all these talks about omni-channel, we see that internally banks are still organized in a lot of internal silos. Silos of different products, silos of different types of customers, so on and so forth. So I think these were some important insights that we captured. And when we try and go out to the market, when we talk to banks ourselves, when we talk to financial institutions ourselves, we try to have that entire discussion around these three pillars, right? One, do you understand your customers better? Two, do you have technology which is outdated legacy? And three, how can we really get rid of not the external silos but the internal silos, right? So I think if you factor in those things, Ruchira, that is what we believe that banks can also do better, and what customers are also looking forward to today from the marketplace when they are looking towards their own financial institution.
All right. Very important points there, Ms. Riddhi. In fact, that is my next question, that as practitioners have demonstrated that real value is not just in knowing their products and services. For the bank, it is all about driving engagement and understanding how to deal with the stickiness of the digital platform. So, Mr. Ankur, what is your insight here? How are you doing better when it comes to this space?
Ruchira, driving engagement on the digital platform is again the combination of how you're building that entire experience and through various data points fortunately for us, bank as a platform in itself is actually a golden source of data, right? So from a customer point of view, any user can give any incorrect or let's say not so correct information to any other platform, but not with the banks. They have their financial record, their transaction patterns, and whatnot. And using all those data points, if we can put a proper recommendation engines as Riddhi spoke about, and personalize it to the extent that what I'm need, where I'm needing it, and which channel I'm needing it, that information is made available in a, proactive manner. That in itself drives significant engagement and drives the belief that this particular bank knows me as a user, knows me as a customer, knows me as a human being. And that kind of a personalization we can portray through various tools, technology platforms, and the kind of features that have evolved over time through various analytics platforms or cloud platforms coming in. We can mine data at scale and probably in real time. So these are the aspects that are driving digital engagement very beautifully, very for any of the channels that we have rolled out and built.
So I'd actually move on to the next question, and that is the technology is one important part of it, as you said, moving from legacy systems to modern new age digital banking. But beyond technology, how do you think banks can actually build a culture that prioritizes customer experiences? What are the kind of skills that you need to, make sure that your employees inculcate? Do you think there's a cultural change that we can target?
There is a cultural change that we target as an organization. So we have what we train our customers into using the digital assets that we have created for them, and that has actually increased the engagement with the customer in terms of how they bank with us. So our intent is that you bank from your mobile phone. We are there for you when you need to meet us. That's the intent. That's how it is. And for that we are training our customers when we disperse our loan, especially inclusive banking side. When we disperse our loan, we give them training on how to use the app. We give them training on how to maximize on the use of UPI and other things available to them. Now that's something is different from what I have seen from various set of organizations. So this training helps the customer to imbibe, becomes more confident of the technology that he or she is
Absolutely.
using, right? Internally too, we keep on telling our staff on how to deal with customers when they come with a query on what needs to get done. So don't consider them to be at your level of understanding. That's one of the important aspects to understand when a customer comes to you. You need to be getting on to their level of understanding and making them understand how to exploit technology. So that's a step that we are taking into educating the customers to make sure that they are using the technology in the right way.
Exactly.
Giving them inputs on how frauds can happen, how to avoid it, what to look for, what not to share, what to share.
Yes.
All those things we
Cybersecurity.
give a training when we onboard them to be our customers.
Great, great. Thank you for that. I'd like to bring in Mr. Riddhi also here. Do you think banks can play a positive role in the customer's financial management goals?
Absolutely. There is no doubt that banks can and banks should, and that is why I think banks have been set up to play a very large positive role in the overall financial management of a customer, right? And if you remember, Richard, I was talking about some of these insights that we had gathered along with Forrester. That is where
Yeah.
banks are probably lacking. Now, I just wanted to add one more point to which Ankur and Mr. Khurana just mentioned right now, about how cultural changes are making a lot of impact, right? And while I'm not working for a bank and I'm not a banker, but we do work with a lot of banks, and what we have seen, and this was a pleasant surprise. In fact, last week I was with a bank in India with a lot of new members that they have onboarded. It was the first time that it happened to me that a bank in India was asking a partner like us or a vendor like us, saying that, guys, we do not want to work with a very fixed mindset of I'll give you X number of requirements and you as a platform come in and deliver that. I want quick iterations. I want to get customer feedback. I want to launch beta versions in the market and keep on iterating. Now, I think that's a very big cultural mindset which is happening in a lot of banks, especially in the new age banks. And I think both Ujjivan and AU are prime examples of that. And that is what we look forward to as partners when we are talking to a bank and we are working with a bank. That if internally that culture of no fixed requirements but iterations, take customer feedback, and that is what is going to lead to, again, what Mr. Khurana said, that instant gratification, because what you're delivering is essentially what the customer wants. You're not delivering what you want as a bank, but you're delivering what the customer wants.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that insight there. Quickly coming to you, Mr. Khurana, how do you think banks can stay ahead of the curve and actually stay ahead of competition moving forward?
I think hyper personalization is one of the things that is key. I mean, I want to provide to every customer of ours a method to customize banking for themselves when they are banking with us. So they decide how they want to bank with us, and we should be in a position to provide them that. And that's something that will definitely help the customer satisfaction grow, and help the bank grow simultaneously.
Long way. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Clearly, engagement banking, enhanced customer experience, maintaining customer loyalties, and managing non-traditional competitors. There is a lot that banks need to deal with, and it is easy to see why commitment is on improved customer experience. As banks move towards digitization, there is going to be a constant focus on value and building a culture that supports enhanced customer engagement going forward. It was a pleasure speaking to all of you, and thank you so much for your time, and thank you to our audience for watching.